Hey, gossip lovers! What happens when a rising star publicly turns on the very company that made her famous? Disney's $270 million Snow White reboot was supposed to be a jewel in the crown of their live-action empire, a modern fairy tale to charm a new generation. But instead, it's become a cautionary tale, one of spiraling PR disasters, viral outrage, and a young actress, Rachel Zegler, caught in the crossfire between cultural reinvention and corporate control. Today, we're unpacking the full story behind Hollywood's messiest movie meltdown in years. From career-making dreams to internet backlashes, from secret meetings to possible lawsuits, we're breaking down every twist in this fairy tale gone wrong. Let's dive in. In 2021, Rachel Zegler was launched into stardom with Steven Spielberg's critically acclaimed West Side Story. Her voice was hailed as angelic, her presence magnetic. She wasn't just an actress, she was seen as the future. Hollywood had found its new it girl, and Disney noticed, so in a bold move, they cast her as the lead in their upcoming live-action adaptation of Snow White, a cornerstone of Disney's legacy and the very first animated feature they ever made, all the way back in 1937. For Disney, the casting was more than symbolic. It was strategic. They wanted to reintroduce Snow White not just to children, but to a modern audience that valued diversity, independence, and empowerment. Rachel, young, Latina, vocal about social issues, seemed like the perfect choice. Disney's PR machine hyped her up. Rachel did press alongside executives. Early leaks described the film as a progressive reimagining of the classic story, one that emphasized strength over passivity and agency over romance. At first, it all seemed to be working, but soon the tide began to shift. It started with a few interviews. During the 2022 D23 Expo and several press appearances, Rachel made comments that went viral for all the wrong reasons. She called the original 1937 Snow White weird, claimed the prince was a stalker, and even said that the story was not a love story anymore. To a casual viewer, these statements might have seemed like edgy sound bites. But to Disney loyalists, to fans who had grown up with the original, they landed like an insult. Snow White wasn't just a character, she was a symbol of innocence and optimism. Hearing an actress mock that felt like sacrilege, social media exploded. Clips of Rachel's interviews were clipped, memed, and shared across platforms. Headlines followed, "Disney's new Snow White thinks the original sucked." And suddenly, the studio's carefully crafted campaign was spiraling. Even some mainstream media outlets began to question the direction of the remake and the tone of its lead actress. This was the first public sign that something was very, very wrong. Just as Disney was trying to control the narrative, another bomb dropped. Rachel posted a tweet in support of Palestine. Free Palestine. Just moments after sharing a corporate Disney promo for Snow White, in isolation, the tweet might not have stirred much controversy. But the timing? Disastrous. The juxtaposition of branded marketing with politically loaded messaging triggered a firestorm. Commenters accused her of inappropriateness, poor timing, and bringing political division into a children's film campaign. Inside Disney, panic set in. Executives were reportedly shocked at the unsanctioned messaging. While the company has tiptoed around political topics before, having a lead actress blur that line during active promo was a nightmare. Worse, internal sources hinted that Rachel had been warned about keeping political commentary separate from Disney-branded material. But either she didn't get the memo or chose to ignore it. What followed was a full-scale PR meltdown. As the controversy surrounding Rachel Zegler reached a boiling point, things moved behind closed doors. Industry insiders began leaking information to entertainment journalists, claiming that Disney had scheduled a private, high-level meeting between Rachel and their legal and PR teams. And it wasn't just a check-in, it was framed as an emergency response. The issue? Rachel's public statements, both her critiques of the original Snow White and her political commentary, were creating what Disney considered irreparable reputational damage. According to sources familiar with Disney contracts, actors tied to major franchises often sign morality clauses. These clauses give studios the legal right to terminate contracts or withhold bonuses if an actor's behavior publicly damages the brand, In Rachel's case, her comments were towing the line. In particular, her political post juxtaposed with a branded promo tweet created what one executive allegedly described as brand whiplash. Not only did it risk alienating parts of the audience, it threatened to fracture Disney's carefully cultivated international relationships. The Disney brand is global, present in countries with vastly different political sensitivities. Even a single tweet can send shockwaves across distribution deals, theme park interests, and merchandising. What complicated things even further was the internal inconsistency. Rachel had reportedly received conflicting instructions. Her PR team encouraged her to lean into a modern, empowered take on Snow White, while the studio's upper brass wanted her to pivot once backlash hit. She was caught between two forces, and neither one was backing her up publicly. During the legal meeting, multiple legal analysts speculate that Disney likely reviewed the boundaries of her contract, reminded her of any possible violations, and perhaps even warned her about financial or professional consequences if her behavior continued. Some rumors even suggested that there was talk of pulling her from future promotional appearances or editing down her presence in trailers and press materials. In a more extreme theory, circulated by entertainment bloggers, there was discussion of recasting Snow White entirely, reshooting portions of the film, or delaying its release indefinitely. Ultimately, those rumors didn't materialize, but the fact that they gained traction at all shows just how chaotic the situation had become. At the heart of it, this wasn't just about a single tweet or interview. It was about control. Who owns the message, the brand, and the voice of a character deeply tied to Disney's legacy? And Rachel, at just 22 years old, was being pulled into a high-stakes corporate standoff between image management and cultural narrative. As the film continued to stall and backlash grew, insiders began pointing fingers. One particularly damning moment came when Jonah Platt, the brother of producer Ben Platt, took to social media to blame Rachel outright for tanking the movie's reception. He tweeted that, "Sometimes you get hired to play a part, not rewrite it." His post implied that Rachel had taken too many liberties with the character and publicly thrown the film under the bus before it even came out. But Rachel's team pushed back hard. They claimed that the modern empowerment angle wasn't her invention. It was part of the messaging pushed by Disney's own PR team, that she was simply echoing what the studio had told her to say. So who was really in charge? Was Rachel a rogue actress going off script? Or was she just a convenient scapegoat for a failed corporate strategy? Behind the scenes, the production itself was chaotic. Major story elements were rewritten. The Seven Dwarfs were replaced with a more inclusive band of characters, sparking immediate backlash from fans and advocacy groups alike. Leaked set photos showed bizarre costume choices and a tone that felt completely disconnected from the original story. Insiders described the project as fractured, with creative departments clashing over how far to modernize the story. One side of Disney wanted radical reinvention. The other feared alienating longtime fans. The result? A film with no clear identity. It wasn't a traditional fairy tale, but it also didn't fully commit to being something new. Critics who saw early cuts reportedly found it tonally confused and clunky. And even before release, the film had become a meme online, for all the wrong reasons. Throughout this entire debacle, another name kept coming up: Gal Gadot. She played the evil queen in the film, and she too made political statements during the same press window, including support for Israel during the conflict. Yet, unlike Rachel, she faced no public reprimand, no emergency meetings, no backlash from the studio. This inconsistency raised eyebrows. Was Rachel being singled out? Some suggested that Gal had different contractual protections, or simply more clout in the industry. Others theorized that Disney didn't want to risk targeting a bigger star during an already fragile rollout. Whatever the case, the double standard was glaring. It raised questions about race, status, and how studios apply rules selectively. And for Rachel, it only added to the sense that she was being thrown under the bus. When the dust finally settled and Snow White was released, the numbers spoke volumes. The film had an estimated production budget of $270 million. That doesn't even include the tens of millions spent on marketing campaigns, digital promotion, and merchandise tie-ins. And yet, global box office revenue barely cracked $90 million. This wasn't just a flop, it was a financial catastrophe. Disney. took a hard public loss. And for a company already navigating losses from its streaming platform, Disney Plus, declining theme park revenues post-COVID, and underperformance from other recent films, The Marvels, Elemental, Indiana Jones 5, this was another blow to investor confidence. Shareholders were reportedly furious. Some even began raising concerns about CEO Bob Iger's leadership and the creative direction of Disney's major franchises. Stock prices wobbled. Analysts began questioning whether Disney's remake machine had finally broken down. But the real damage wasn't just financial, it was cultural. For decades, Disney was synonymous with universal stories, tales that transcended age, politics, and geography. From Beauty and the Beast to The Lion King, their magic formula was dependable. Timeless narratives with broad appeal, but in trying to modernize their classics, they risked alienating their core audience. Critics began using terms like overcorrected, tone-deaf, and disconnected. The attempt to reframe Snow White as a feminist epic may have had noble intentions, but the execution felt forced. Instead of creating something empowering, the result felt calculated and cynical, and this raised a much bigger question. Was Disney trying to tell new stories? Or was it trying to retrofit old ones into something they were never meant to be? Internally, reports suggest that Disney's leadership is now reevaluating its live-action remake strategy. Future projects may face delays, rewrites, or even cancellation. Some executives are pushing for original storytelling again, something Disney hasn't prioritized in over a decade. Meanwhile, other studios are watching closely. The Snow White disaster has become a case study in what happens when branding, politics, and storytelling collide. It's not just about one movie, it's about how the public views corporations that claim to stand for magic while operating like political machines. For Rachel Zegler, the aftermath is still uncertain. Her career could bounce back, or she may remain a cautionary tale for rising stars navigating the spotlight. But for Disney, the consequences are clear. They didn't just lose millions on a movie, they lost the trust of part of their audience. And in an era where streaming wars, superhero fatigue, and audience skepticism run high, that trust is worth more than any box office haul. Disney's magic used to feel inevitable. Now, it feels fragile. So, is Rachel Zegler the villain in this story? Or is she a 22-year-old actress caught in a billion-dollar branding war? This wasn't just a PR misstep, it was a structural failure. From corporate messaging gone awry, to a fractured production, to a public star left unsupported, it reveals a deeper truth. Disney, in its pursuit to evolve, may have lost touch with its own foundations. And in doing so, they didn't just damage one movie. They may have damaged the very magic they were trying to preserve. The fairy tale is broken. The kingdom is in chaos. And the question now isn't just whether Snow White can be saved. It's whether Disney still knows how to tell stories the world wants to believe in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest disasters.